Hello, welcome to our pre-Q&A for the People's Joker. So my name is Newt, and I am the Midnights programmer here in the building, and we are just so delighted to have Vera Drew here in person for such a wonderful, unique movie.
Hi, I'm Tony. I'm the content director / writers committee director for FSU. And I think that this is the coolest shit ever. And introducing to you the campus, as if you haven't already seen her. The clown princess of crime, Vera Drew. She's tying her shoe.
Wow.
Right.
Thank you.
So how this is going to work is Tony and I have prepared a few questions for Vera that we are going to ask, and then we are going to open it up to audience questions. We are going to have two people in SLC staff shirts down here at the bottom that you can come down, tell them what your question is, and then they can help relay it to Vera at the end. So yeah, let's get started.
Does somebody want to operate this? I can't see. So I just killed all the momentum. You were the first, and you're wearing a Twin Peaks shirt, so...
Woo, Twin Peaks! Shout out the legend.
Rest in peace, David Lynch. Yes? It should already be recording. There's like a Zoom.
We have a printout of questions if you would like that as well. Okay, so just moving right into it, what was your main motivation behind taking on such an ambitious project like People's Joker all on your own?
Well, it started as a joke, because Todd Phillips, the writer and director of 2019's Joker, was complaining about woke culture, which is his right to do as a white cis man. And my friend Brie LaRose, who is a writer on Lady Dynamite and Arrested Development and stuff, she actually commissioned me to re-edit Joker 2019. Because I came up as an editor with Tim and Eric, and kind of had already been doing like a lot of remix art and stuff with Everything Is Terrible, and I remixed the movie Point Break with a bunch of people, made it somehow gayer. And when I started doing that, sorry, this top is so tight. I didn't realize until I sat down. I can barely breathe. I started doing that, and then having like all these memories kind of resurface just about how much like these characters actually meant to me. And one of them being going to see Batman Forever when I was years old, and it being like the first time I realized I was trans. There was something about seeing Nicole Kidman in that movie that like just made me feel represented as like a 6-year-old fake boy. Having that memory resurface was kind of this like moment of like, oh, there's something else here. I like actually want to just make a movie. Like I want to make like a Joker movie instead of just like a Joker shit post. And I didn't really do it on my own. I ended up co-writing it with Brie. And I put out this call on Twitter. And you know, we built a website and stuff. Justin Gaynor, who is like a producer with On Cinema, At the Cinema, and put together this website where we like kind of just asked any artists if they wanted to like help work on this. And I kind of was just expecting like 10 or 15 like chasers to like reply, and some did. But it was like hundreds of people wanted to get involved, so I kind of formed this whole like DIY community around it, and yeah, it was March 2020, so I didn't really have much going on. I wasn't getting paid to add fart sound effects to shows, so I decided to make a Joker movie.
Oh, yeah.
Nice. And next up, you already touched on this a bit with the whole Nicole Kidman thing, right? How watching that film helped you realize yourself. But then you dedicate a whole film, and you're really deep into the Batman mythos, as we'll see very soon. You know your shit, you know. So it seems too simple of a question, but why Batman?
I don't know. He's just very it's gay. It's really gay. It's just always been so gay. I mean, the '60s Batman is just. They're in tights, it's just him and his little boyfriend running around in tights, and the Joker in that is so gay and prissy that he refuses to shave his mustache under his makeup. I used to have this joke in college where I would just say, "I shaved my mustache for no man," and that's that's what I picture Cesar Romero saying when he showed up to set for '60s Batman. It's always just been subtext. It's never overt, but it's always, Joker has always been a really queer-coded character. My favorite writer, Grant Morrison, yes, who loves this movie, by the way.
Ooh, that's a face. That's the biggest thing.
It's the second you find out Grant Morrison likes your Batman movie, any good reviews or bad reviews. It's seeing through the matrix code of feedback. I don't give a shit what anybody says about it. I just made Grant happy. But Grant tried to do a trans Joker, or a drag queen Joker, I guess, in their Arkham Asylum graphic novel in Warner Brothers. This is where you boo. Boo. They're not going to sue me anymore because their Joker movie sucks. So it's really cool, this era of screening this movie, because now I can just shit talk. They said no, we won't let you make the Joker a drag queen. But Grant still put Joker in heels, and Joker's grabbing Batman's ass and that and stuff, and it's just so, and for me, there was also just this idea of the kind of irony poisoned trans girl thing. There might be a few of us here tonight. That was oh, that just feels like a Joker thing. Yeah, I don't know. I was kicking around this. I had this before the remix started happening. I had this idea for a movie that was about a drag queen who was physically addicted to irony, and needed it to survive. But it was also it was a body horror movie where it was also rotting her from the inside out, and that kind of became this. And it was just because I kind of was burnt out on the comedy scene and needed to. Sorry, my ADHD medication's long since worn off tonight. But I wanted to return to this place of sincerity and stuff, and Joker seemed like a good vehicle for that.
Hell yeah.
All right. So next question we have, so before you coming, we were doing a little bit of research just on other projects you've done, and you worked on post-productions on shows like Nathan For You and Who Is America before working on People's Joker. So how has working on post-production and stuff for other people's projects to going to something that is so authentically you, authentically yourself creatively, what has been the main difference of shifting in that kind of role in Hollywood?
Well, I was getting no notes on this, so I just got to do whatever I wanted. Which, my first job in television was season 1 of the Eric Andre show, and I was an intern, and I was in those days interns at Absolutely Productions, which is Tim and Eric's production company. You'd be one day you'd be holding a camera or moving a light or whatever, and then the next you'd be picking up Thai iced teas for Eric Andre or waking up Hannibal Buress in his dressing room or whatever. So I really got to get all this hands-on experience in all these different departments, and ended up you know, I knew I wanted to direct. My earliest memories are remembering were wanting to direct. Like I knew I was a filmmaker before I knew I was a girl, but I didn't really know what that looked like because I liked a lot of different things. But I landed in post-production on that show, and then my next job was season 1 of Nathan For You, which imagine what making season 1 of Nathan For You is like. We were just like riding around in a van in Glendale, just ruining people's businesses. It's just like, is this a comedy show? Like this Canadian man just like telling people to make poop yogurt and
we still don't know.
Yeah. So yeah, like I came into that like alternative comedy scene like right at this time where it was really, where a lot of like the worst people on the planet were just dumping a bunch of money into it at places like Warner Brothers, and so a lot of that stuff was getting made, and it really turned out to be this like wonderful incubator for you know, learning visual effects and post-production and stuff like that, and you know, and I mean working with Tim Heidecker was just like a dream because he's a genius, and you know, I got to really like kind of learn from all these different amazing creative people, and as an editor I would always get this note that was like, I don't know what, you know, I don't know what you're doing here, like is this moment sincere or is it ironic, like you picked this song and I can't tell if I'm supposed to laugh or cry or whatever, and I'd be like, yeah, that's fine, like, what does it matter? And with this movie, I wanted like every second of it to be like that, where it was just like, you know, 1 second you're like crying about your relationship with your mom, and then the next, like you're like, you know, hearing like a fart joke. There's actually not that many fart jokes in this movie. I'm trying to avoid spoilers because there's like, has anybody seen this before? So, I can't see you, so make a noise or something. Okay, so it's mostly newbies. But yeah, it's the jokes per second in this, like, there's a billion jokes happening at once, and it really came out of like working in that environment where I was getting told a lot of the time, like, we need to like make things, you know, crazy, but one of the jokes. So with this, it was like really this thing where it was like, I want every single frame just to be stacked with Batman references and a million different jokes and you know, things tugging at your heartstrings, and yeah. Is this going well?
This is going amazing.
I don't know. What do you guys think?
Is that the answer?
Yeah, that works. I needed that. Thank you.
Next up, and you were already talking about Tim Heidecker, but you also have Bob Odenkirk as Bob the Goon in this movie.
Yes.
And the first time we ever spoke to you on a Zoom call, you said, please ask me this. So how did you get like celebrities like Bob Odenkirk? And also Tim, you know, which I know you've worked with him before, but like...
Well, Tim was like, I just worked for free for that guy so many times, and it was just like cashing in a favor. Like, you know, he's kind of like he expects an email from me like once every 4 months. It's like, hey, I need you to like show up and moderate a Q&A, or like, hey, I'm having like a crisis about my career, can I buy you lunch and stuff? And with this, it was like, it was during this period where he was getting targeted by the alt-right a lot, and so I wanted him to play an Alex Jones type character. And I honestly was like worried he wouldn't want to do it for that reason, but he did. He was totally game, and you know, he doesn't really do a very terrific Alex Jones impression, but it's like he captures the spirit of it in this way that I think, like, you know, a lot of people don't. It's just very like, I don't know, like a barbecue ribs energy, like, oh, I ate too much chili and forgot my kids' names type of energy that is missing from like a lot of Alex Jones impressions. what I like about Tim is doesn't do a lot of takes, refuses to do a lot of takes, actually. Like, I produced and co-wrote and directed this show called Beef House with him and Eric that was like, every single setup, we filmed everything in like 2 takes. And it's kind of, it's hectic, but it's kind of nice because like, that's really all you need. Like, I'm assuming there's a lot of people here that like are filmmakers or like want to make films or whatever. Like, you know, you shouldn't get too much coverage. It's kind of a waste of time. I think like that magic is really in a rehearsal take a lot of the time. You know, you get 1 take that, you know, that's usually it, and then you dial it in a little bit, and then you move on. I think we all got a little too, feel free to pass along that camera, by the way. I feel bad that I put you to work. Yeah, I mean, and he's like one of those types of artists that's just like, you know, we'll do it in 2 and then it's good. And I think all of his stuff for this was recorded in like less than 20 minutes. And then I knew, you know, we have this sequence in the movie that's very much based on, inspired by Goodfellas. This movie's, you know, like Joker 2019 is kind of inspired by like the 70s Scorsese, but I really like 90s Scorsese, the like Goodfellas and cocaine energy of, you know, a story sort of told over multi-decades and stuff. So we rip off one of those shots where they're like, the Steadicam shot where like Henry's like walking through the club and he's like, oh, there's Jimmy 2 times and you know
Tony 2 times.
Yeah, going through all those. There's a big Tony. That's you.
Yeah.
And I knew I wanted there to be this sequence where we see all these different Batman villains and like our versions of them. And I knew I wanted Bob the Goon to be in the movie because Bob the Goon is not in the comics. He's just, in Batman '89, Jack Nicholson was like, my friend Bob's gonna be in the movie. And Tim Burton's like, what? Your friend Bob? He's like, yeah, my friend Bob is gonna be on set every day, so we gotta write him apart. So that's why Bob the Goon is in Batman '89. He's just that psychopath who thankfully isn't working anymore. Jack Nicholson was like, my friend's gonna show up. So the idea of like putting him in this movie where like I don't own any of these characters, and there's no reason for Bob the Goon to be in this. There's no reason to canonize him in a queer coming-of-age Joker movie. There's no reason to make a queer coming-of-age Joker movie. Except for the free Dr. Pepper. I was really racking my brain about who to cast as Bob the Goon in this, and then I remembered, oh, I worked with Bob Odenkirk on a show called Birthday Boys, which was this sketch show on IFC. That is such an underrated sketch comedy show. Like if you love sketch comedy, you should watch it. It's the last show that has no diversity in it either. I think it's like, it was really its main failure. It was just 7 white guys doing comedy, which there's too many already doing that. They didn't all need to be in one show. But it was really well made, and Bob was the showrunner on it. And that was another one of my first jobs, and I was an assistant editor on it. And so I was like, okay, I could ask him, but he didn't know my name when I was working. He'd call me Simon all the time. Like, hey Simon, I need you to pull up this clip, and that was not my dead name. So I had this experience of being so I need to not only explain to him that I wasn't called Simon then, and I'm certainly not called Simon now, and so I went to Tim and was like, hey, Bob Odenkirk discovered you. Will you please help me find a way to ask him to be in the movie? And again, I was expecting Tim to say no. I always think these favors are going a little too far, but he said yes. I got put on an email with Bob, and kind of was, every step of the way I was kind of expecting it to go nowhere. And then suddenly one day I just got a call from him, and he was like out of breath. And I heard these doors like slamming. It sounded like he was like walking between trailers or something. Like, I assume he was like making Better Call Saul. He was like, hi, yeah, Vera, okay, tell me about Joker. Tell me about the movie. And I was like, okay, well, like, she falls into a vat of estrogen, and I could feel the call going way too long. But I explained the whole movie to him, and he didn't hang up. And I was like, and I want you to play this Bob the Goon character. And he's like, all right, cool, yeah, I'll do it, but like, just like fuck me up though, like fuck up my face. Like, I don't want like the joke to be like, look, I got Bob Odenkirk in my first movie, And I was like, well, that's kind of the joke. Is I got Bob Odenkirk to be in my first movie, look at me. And so we gave him a big scar. It's clearly a Bob Odenkirk CG model that we put in a Bob the Goon suit, and I put a big scar across his face. And the other thing that I kind of regret, this was before all the word gooning became, I'm sorry to go goon, but it's, midnight show, edgy. I smell weed on a couple of you. Yeah, I wish I had gotten a gooning reference in there, but I guess it's kind of in there. His name's Bob the Goon. Next question?
I actually have something I want to ask the audience. Now, it's really clear when Bob the Goon is on screen, he's introduced as Bob the Goon. When Bob the Goon is on screen, everyone cheer. Please remember, keep in mind. That's all you gotta do.
And just to shout out, Scott Aukerman's also in the movie briefly. Maria Bamford plays a main character, Warren Michaels. And a handful of other really, all the best people are in this film. Myself included.
Hell yeah. All right, next question. So, you went through a lot to have this movie made. It was largely funded independently, and I know that you were talking about earlier that you were having issues finding a distributor and stuff like that. So there was obviously that you wanted this project to be out there. So what was the main goal that you wished to accomplish with a project like this, and what did you hope that audiences would take away from it?
I very naively was just making this for myself. I was making it like I had a microchip in my. Did you ever see that movie? Not Crash. Is it Jason Statham? Where he's got the Crank.
Yes.
It was like the movie Crank. I was gonna die if I didn't make this movie. I acted like there was a microchip in my brain that, not literally, but I just night and day was working on this, which is why it hurts when people say it looks bad. I really was just making it kind of just to process my life. It's the most autobiographical movie I think ever made. It's when people are like, what scenes are true? I'm like, all of it. The only difference is I'm not the Joker.
To me, you are.
Well, yeah. I became the Joker. The Joker possessed me.
The Joker is you.
Yeah. And he didn't kill me, thank God. Because it's it really, it ended up becoming way longer of a process. It just kept getting way more and more ambitious. It really did just start as this thing I was kind of just doing with my friends. And I think that's why we're here tonight talking about it, is I wasn't really anticipating an audience watching it. I thought I'd maybe post it on my Patreon and maybe show it in a warehouse somewhere to 20 of my friends, and they go wow, okay, cool. And then that'd be it. And then it got in the Toronto International Film Festival in 2022 somehow, and which was rad. I had never been to a film festival before. I knew what film festivals were theoretically because I grew up in the 90s, so like I knew, Kevin Smith made Clerks and went to Sundance, and then the worst people in the world bought his movie. and then that's what happens. And then I showed up to the Toronto International Film Festival, and it was like, oh, this is like the fanciest thing I've ever been to. Like we premiered the same year as The Whale premiered there, and The Fabelmans. Really, the best memory of my life was seeing The Fabelmans the day after Warner Brothers threatened to sue the People's Joker. Because I walked into this Fabelmans premiere, everybody was in suits, and I was dressed basically like this. The room just went silent when I walked in, because everybody at the festival had been talking about it, because the night before our screening, well, first let me backtrack. I show up to TIFF, and I'm immediately like, oh, this just became a way bigger deal. This is not me and my friends just hanging out, rolling doolies, and making a Joker movie. This is like crazy, like a lot more people are gonna see this than I ever thought, and I was terrified because it's embarrassing. It's an embarrassing movie. It's about my mom. It's dedicated to my mom and Joel Schumacher. We showed up, we had our press day. I got into an elevator and Werner Herzog was just standing there. And I was like, well, I'm probably never gonna see him again, so I should say something. And I said, Mr. Herzog, you're one of my favorite filmmakers of all time. It's an honor to see you here. And he said, thanks, here, I'm just a rumor. And then he disappeared. Literally, he dematerialized before my eyes. And then I walked into this, our press day, and Richard Roundtree, Shaft, was there, and fucking Malcolm McDowell. It was just what is this? I'm a dummy from the Midwest that made a trans Joker movie. So we really all were on cloud nine by the end of that day. And then I get this call from my manager, and she's like, Vera, are you sitting down? And I was like, oh no. And I immediately knew what was happening. It was Warner Brothers found out about the movie. And they were not happy because they had just, started shooting Joker 2. I think they had real high hopes about it. And having seen the movie now, which I adored Joker 2. I was not going into it expecting to love it, but it's amazing. It's an amazing Joker movie. Joker in that movie has sex with Lady Gaga and climaxes within 4 seconds.
You're all laughing because you've never seen it, and I know that.
It happens. How could I not love that movie? But I was devastated, and we were all just like, okay, the dream is over. But my producer, Joey Lyons, who really is the only reason this movie ever got done, he was shit-faced, because we'd been celebrating all day. He stood over me, and he was just this big, beautiful, gay ginger man just giving me a pep talk, no, we're here. We all got passports for this. We're gonna premiere that movie tomorrow, and you know what? We're just gonna stand up to Warner Brothers, and we're gonna fucking do this, and you know what, Vera Drew? Here at TIFF, you are not just a rumor. And I burst into tears, and I knew we were gonna be okay, and it was just because of the people I was surrounded by that really, and thankfully TIFF also, they went to bat for us. They got in touch with Warner Brothers and were like, no, we're gonna screen it. We sold 600 tickets to this thing. If you want an army of fucking trans people and homos after you, sure, but we're not gonna do that. So we ended up premiering it. But yeah, it made getting the movie out there, like putting the movie out there, a lot more challenging. But it was cool because I ended up getting to we did a whole secret, excuse me, tour in Australia. That was amazing. The movie's huge in Australia. It's just a continent full of edgelords. I watched a woman just backhand her kid. I went to this theme park. There's like a Warner Brothers theme park there, and I just saw this woman. Shut your mouth! And the guy I was with that took me to the theme park was like, yeah, that's just normal. I was like, oh my gosh. Sorry if you're Australian. Anyway, I told you I talk a lot. Yeah, eventually Altered Innocence bought it, and they were just like a match made in heaven. I mean, most of their movies are queer coming-of-age movies. They're movies about like cute little twinks, and I used to be one of those. Just an old bag of bones with boobs and a big heart. Yeah, if you like this movie, and if you don't like this movie, go watch other Altered Innocence movies. He released Bertrand Mandico's most recent films. She is Conan, After Blue Deer Paradise, Wild Boys. He also has a porn label called Anus Films, and it's the Janus Films logo, but it's a butthole.
Which, fun fact, he's actually an FSU alum, the guy who runs it, and he used to work in this building. So, so we are going to ask Vera one more question and then move it to audience questions. So we're going to have our two volunteers come down here to the bottom of the stairs. They are just going to screen your question just to make sure that nobody's saying anything out of pocket or anything, and then hand you a microphone for you to be able to ask it to Vera. So if you have any questions, feel free to line up over here. So for their last question, we're just going to ask, if you had one piece of advice to give to young queer filmmakers, what would it be?
This is like the lamest advice. This would bother me so much if somebody said this 4 years ago to me, but like, just fucking do it. Like, it really is, it is a scary time. Like, I literally can't breathe air in Los Angeles right now where I live because of the fires. I keep seeing this quote, all my idols are dead and my enemies are in power. But it's just time to make stuff. It really is. And to make it without thinking, I spent a decade trying to figure out how to make art that people would embrace. I pitched so many horrible television shows that thank God they didn't get picked up because I would have just gotten put into the meat grinder that is mainstream show business. It's a fucking joke. Just get your friends together and make stuff. I think mutual aid, communism, polycules, all that fucking shit, that is the way movies are going to be made in the future. And this movie is kind of unfortunately one of the best examples we currently have of that being possible. And it just so happened to involve this major IP that we're just constantly told is our modern myth or whatever, which is just a fucking corporate scheme to numb us to propaganda films, because that's all superhero movies are. It's just to make you okay with fucking tanks rolling down your street. That's why they don't cost any money for those studios to make. They're all set in conference rooms. It's just fucking Captain America in a conference room talking to, fucking Ant-Man or whatever, and saying, well, that just happened, or whatever. What was my point? Just make it. Just take what you have and make it. I really, a lot of that whole, the 90s indie film thing, and the new queer cinema film thing, Gregor Racky, there's so many people, fuck me, I'm not the first one to do something like this. I'm just ripping all of those people off. I didn't work at a convenience store, I just played with Batman toys, and this is my Clerks, I didn't have a pet iguana. What was Robert Rodriguez's movie with the iguana? Desperado. Was that inspirational enough?
I think it was.
Let's ask the audience again.
All right, so we are going to move on. We have time for one or two audience questions. So we're going to start on this side. So yeah, if you can just say your name and then your question.
Hi, I'm Jessica, and my question is, Vera, what would you say to any already poisoned trans women in the audience?
It's okay to be sincere. It's really okay. It's like being cool is the lamest fucking thing you can do. Like, I am probably gonna go home tomorrow and watch Mary Martin's Peter Pan. Because I just need a good cry. Because David Lynch died yesterday. And he wasn't involved in that. But, you know, Mary Martin's Peter Pan is very lesbian coded. And David Lynch really was the best lesbian filmmaker we ever had. So.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. Next question.
Hi, I'm Catalina, and I was wondering what was the most fulfilling process of, you wrote, directed, starred in the movie. What was the, your favorite part of actually being in it and being part of every process?
Spoil Suicide Cop. Are you guys okay if we spoil Suicide Cop?
A mild spoiler. Cover your ears if you don't want a spoiler. There's a character in this movie called Suicide Cop. Which is exactly what it sounds like. It's a cop that kills himself at the first sign of trouble. It's a character I've been trying to get off the ground for decades. And watching him finally have his day in this film, I don't need to have kids. Next question.
Hi, I'm Logan.
Hi, Logan.
Hi.
Like a movie.
Yes.
Sing it,
Screened a while ago. Yes. Okay. I was just curious about your visual inspirations for the film, like how it looks visually. Like you talked about Batman Forever. I could definitely see that. It looks really cool. I was just curious about some of the other things you were inspired by.
Hedwig and the Angry Inch. Oh wow. Also, I really like, I love Harmony Korine. I love and Tim and Eric too. There's a lot of like Adult Swim all over this movie. What else? Pink Floyd's The Wall. Pink Floyd, David Lynch is a lesbian filmmaker and Pink Floyd is a transgender band. If you watch Pink Floyd live at Pompeii, they all just look like their eggs are about to crack. Like, they are the most beautiful women I've ever seen. David Gilmour is fish. Next question. Do people still say fish? I'm 35.
Hello, my name is Bobby.
Hi,
This
Bobby.
kind of piggybacks off that question, but more so, what were your main inspirations during the filmmaking process of this film?
I was watching a lot of Mad Men, which has nothing to do with this movie. I think it was just nice to take a break from all the beautiful queers I was working with and just watch cis men smoke cigarettes. But to really answer your question, I think those ones. I think especially Pink Floyd's The Wall. There's something about that movie that is just it's a movie that should not exist. It is not really, Pink Floyd's The Wall, the album, is prominently featured in it, but it's not, when you watch it, it's this is way more of a bummer than I thought a Pink Floyd movie would ever be. It's like a beautiful, experimental art film that still makes sense. Oh, also Natural Born Killers was another one that I kept coming back to just because that's a movie where every single frame of it is a different film stock. They cut between 16 millimeter and 35 and then suddenly there's an anime Woody Harrelson ripping a guy's head off and stuff, and it all emotionally makes sense. And this is a movie where every single different animation style is in it. Every single, that was when I kept coming back to. It was will this make sense? Like this many different styles all kind of blended together. Also, My Chemical Romance, just as cool.
You have no idea how happy that just made me.
Yeah. Probably a lot of other stuff too. You know, I really just love mixed media as an art form. Kenneth Anger is like my fucking spooky grandpa, you know? Have any of you seen Bruce LaBruce movies? Go watch The Misandrists, go watch Super 8.5. Super 8.5 is Bruce LaBruce's The People's Joker. He also lost his mind making that movie in the way that I did. Next question.
Hi, I'm Lily. If you could make another movie based on a comic book or comic book character, what would it be?
The X-Men, but it's spelled EX, and it's just a bunch of trans X-Men. It never happened. Disney owns them.
So Wolverine would stay the same.
Well, yeah, exactly. Wolverine, yeah, is just a trans guy. Like,
Straight from the Joker's mouth.
you know, I also my answer for this used to be The Invisibles because like Grant, but I know Grant really wants to make an Invisibles movie, and I really hope they get to someday. Just because I think, I mean, it's basically just a Matrix, but like very like literally trans instead of figuratively. Next question.
I don't know if this question's for anyone in the audience besides me, but I came down so I get to ask it. Having worked on cinema,
Yes.
are you a Tim head, a Greg head, or a Unity head?
Oh wow. You know, I used to not answer this question. You know, I think I'm kind of like a disunity head. Like I think they either need to like have sex or move on with each other's lives because like it's the most codependent relationship ever. But I'm probably a Greg head, really. Like, let's be honest. I directed season 12 or 13, I can't remember which one, of On Cinema, and Greg was doing this whole James Bond thing and had this like flower on his like lapel that was just rotting over the course of the season. And I have one of those sitting on my bookshelf just because Greg is such a sweetie, and VHS forever, and I love movies. That answered your question.
I think we have time for just one more question before we can start the showing, so we can turn it over to you.
Hi, my name's Rory.
Hi, Rory.
I know you mentioned a few directors that were inspiration for The People's Joker, but I know you also mentioned that you wanted to be a filmmaker since you were a child, so I was wondering what directors that not necessarily influenced The People's Joker, but just, with you wanting to make movies in general.
I mean, I'm sorry I keep bringing up David Lynch, but he's like the biggest one.
Please don't be sorry.
It's like when I saw Mulholland Drive when I was 13, because there used to be this website called MrSkin.com, and that was how I found the girl on girl scene from that movie. And yes, hormones were guiding it, but it was also just the most beautifully romantic scene. I'd never seen two women look at each other with that amount of love. And it blew my mind as like a 13-year-old, and I had to pick up the movie, and then watching it, it was just like, what is this? It's like a puzzle. But I also emotionally understand everything that's going on. It's just such a beautiful film. And I think from there, I saw like Eraserhead, which is even more confusing. And I remember just even as a kid watching it and being like, oh, this is why my parents hate me. Like, it really sucks to have children. You would make this movie where your kid is like a weird cow fetus. I don't know, I think he's an artist I've always just looked up to because he just always did. It's not even that he did whatever he wanted, it's just he let his intuition guide him in a way that he wasn't concerned with even making sense. Like that's just so beautiful, and so he was a big one. And you know, I've made fun of him over the years, but Kevin Smith too. Like I think I don't know that I ever would have got actually made a movie if it hadn't been for Clerks. Like watching a movie that looked like that, like shit. It just being like, oh my god, like you can make a movie where you're just hanging out with your friends and yeah, this kind of fizzled out, but you guys should probably just watch the movie.
All right, who's excited for the movie? One more time, let's give it up for Miss Vera Drew!
Thank you for coming. If you like the movie, please tell your friends about it. If you don't like it, just keep your mouth shut. Unless you're crazy and you go viral, talking about it.
Enjoy it.
Enjoy.